Kלים, Perek Chavches, Mishnah Aleph. Just to recap, by way of Akdama, there are two levels, two shurim for begodim. There's the smallest shear of sholosh al sholosh, which means sholosh al sholosh etzbois, a tiny piece of cloth like this, 3 finger breadths, which is able to be makabel tuma, all tumas, mace, sheretz, all tumas maga. However, it's not able to be makabel tumas medris where the zov and nidot yoledes puts the weight on them because it's not roy the mishkav or moishev. For that, you've got to have a much bigger piece of beged, 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, known as shloisha al shloisha. It's much easier to be mevatel a beged which has a shear of sholosh al sholosh from its status of kabbalas tuma than to be mevatel a beged of shloisha al shloisha tefachim, because a shloisha al shloisha tefachim is much more chashuv and therefore is harder to be mevatel it. Says the Mishnah, sholosh al sholosh and a sono bechadur oishasa kadur b'fnei atzma tahira. Small piece of cloth which you either stuff it into a little ball. You have a ball made of leather, a little child's ball, and you need a stuffing inside, so you make a little opening in the leather ball, and you take your little piece of beged, you stuff it inside, it's still whole, it's just crumpled up inside the ball. That is already mevatel the beged. It's like throwing it into the garbage. What we said before in the previous Mishnah is mevatel it. Similarly, even if you don't stuff it into a leather ball, into a pouch, you actually turn the piece of beged into a ball itself. Crumple it up into a ball, and then you sew it in such a way that it remains spherical. In both those cases, you've been mevatel the beged completely. It's like throwing it into the garbage. It's tahor. That means if it was tomei, it actually becomes tahor, and similarly, even if it was tahor, it is not able to be makabel tuma anymore. However, by contrast to the case of shloisha al shloisha, shenesonoi bekadur tomei. If you take a piece of beged this big, the 3 by 3 tefachim, and you stuff it into a ball, really, although it's stuffed into the ball, you can actually still take it out and reuse it. It's just being retained in there. Because it's shloisha al shloisha and in such a davar chashuv, it doesn't become bottled by stuffing it into the ball, because you can always pull it out and reuse it, and people would do that. Therefore, it's not bottled. The Mishnah agrees, however, asoi kadur b'fnei atzmoi tahor. If you actually took this piece of beged, this 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, and turned it into the ball and sewed it, so that now retains this spherical shape and is now a ball, it's now not a beged anymore. In such a case, even with the shloisha al shloisha, that's called being mevatel it b'pnei shatfar mematoi. Because you've now sewn it, you've stitched it up, that's actually being mevatel the beged. The word mematoi doesn't mean this. I'm learning this Mishnah according to the way the Rash explains it. Mematoi doesn't mean that you've actually reduced the shear. Even if it's a big beged, you took a 5 tefachim by 5 tefachim, the fact that you've sewn it and stitched it all around, you've been mamayitin, it means you've been mevatel, it's tashmish, it is now gone, it is now no longer a beged. That's Mishnah Aleph, and Mitzvah we're going to...